Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 5 of the Utopiacast. I'm your host, Erik Hogan, here with my co-host, Michael Beaupre. Michael, say hello to the people.
What's going on?
And we have our newly and now in the flesh official co-host, Elliot Vojnica. Elliot, say hello to the people.
Yo, yo, yo.
I guess this has become his tagline here. So, gentlemen, it's been a while since we've actually sat down and recorded. I'll go with Elliot first. You've been busy with like graduation stuff and working and whatnot. So, how are things been for you?
Bro, really busy to be honest. Like, too busy, almost. Working 40 hours a week.
Full time?
Full time at Taco Bay Variety.
Shout out Taco Bay.
I'm gonna sub.
Taco Bay is honestly so good. Their steak and cheese.
Everyone says that.
Yeah.
Everyone says that, and then like working there, it's so weird because there's no reason it should be that.
And their chicken Caesars.
I think I've only ate breakfast there once. It was a breakfast sandwich, I believe. I don't think I've ever had lunch there. I just don't have any reason to go that way.
Good?
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah. Everyone says it's amazing.
Yeah.
But it's just like normal.
Yeah, exactly.
When I make it, like, I just put salt and pepper on stuff.
Right. I mean, salt and pepper goes a long way.
True, I guess, but...
Yeah. Michael, you just came back from vacation. Where did you go? What was the trip? Tell us about it.
I went on a cruise to Mexico, Cozumel, Costa Maya, Belize, and Honduras.
Insane. So were you on the boat the entire time? Or the ship, rather?
What do you mean?
So like I'm not familiar with how cruises work, because I know with some people, I guess, with the cruise, like it stops at each place and you get off and you like enjoy the, I don't know, like a resort or something around there.
Right, yeah. So it stops at each place, and we got off at each port.
Mhm.
I think our favorite was probably Honduras, because we did an excursion. We went to like a private island. We saw. I actually got to hold monkeys.
Mucked up.
It was really
That's emotional.
sick.
That is emotional.
There were I think it was like lion.
Sea lions. That's insane. Shout out sea lions.
Tearing up right now.
I'm honestly tearing
I was
up right now. I'm
honestly
getting.
so excited to hold monkeys.
I know that's like getting back to our like our ancestry right there.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like we're not too dissimilar.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's emotional. That's emotional.
Yeah, they were crawling all over me and pulled my hair.
Yeah. What? So now you said we. So who went on the trip with you?
Me, my girlfriend Lydia, my sister, and
Yeah.
We've been trying to go on this trip for like 2020.
Holy shit. So.
And then it got canceled because of COVID.
Right. Corona throws a wrench in,
Yeah.
in everything. That makes sense.
And we scheduled it for 21, got canceled. Finally got.
Right. Right. Well, that's nice to hear, gentlemen. So I just ended school today. This was the last day of, I guess technically kids were done on Wednesday. We're recording this on a Friday afternoon. Put in my badge and everything, and looking forward to not driving a total of 10 hours a week for the time being. Now, this is going to be a busy summer for me traveling-wise for meets and whatnot, but it's not going to be every day. So that's going to be very well received on my end. So before we get into our topic for today, you guys are both in prep. We're prepping for a meet that I am co-directing, and obviously have a bunch of other people doing, the USAPL main event Summer Open. How's training been so far for that? You guys are, Elliot, I know you're going pretty heavy tomorrow. Michael, you're in the early stages of your peaking cycle.
I think I'm on week 2, because I did a 6-week program, took the week off for the.
Before you get into it, what did you end up hitting for your final? Because we were doing doubles besides bench, right?
Yeah, I did 435 for 2 on squat,
Which is more than your one rep.
right? I think before my PR was a double,
Right.
and it was 5.
Yeah.
Then I did 290 for 1 on bench, and that moved.
And he's doing it a disservice. It literally moved at like RP3. It was crazy with a nice long pause.
Yeah. And then I did 525 for 2 on deadlift.
Yep.
That felt pretty.
And that is and for reference, Michael's meet PR is 474. All right. So we're,
PR single in the gym was 530.
right. So, we made a lot of great progress, but, you mentioned taking that week off. You kind of had to take that full week, last week to kind of get your bearings under you.
Yeah. And I tried to work out a little bit on the cruise, but they don't have like a barbell. It was kind of just like, I worked out, I think like 2 or times.
Right.
It wasn't enough, and when I came back last week, I kind of like back.
Which, yeah.
Now I did lifted Wednesday the other day, and felt great.
Yeah, and you got some momentum now. I think after the end of this week, you'll be pretty much good to go.
Yeah, I got 360 single.
Yeah, nice and nice, easy stuff. Yeah. Elliot, you've been making progress left and right, man.
In some ways, yeah.
Yeah. What ways? How do you feel about your prep so far?
I feel pretty good. I'm a little anxious right now. I'll touch on that. Last block was euphoric, dude.
Yeah, it was.
370 triple on squat.
Yep.
Which my all-time single PR, 374.
Right.
315 bench.
315 bench with a good pause, good hold, on calibrated plates.
And my meet PR for bench is 286.
Yep.
And then 430 deadlift.
Yep.
Almost sealed the deal with the 445.
Right, we're about an inch away from it.
We don't have to talk about that.
Right.
So yeah, last block went really well. This block, I'm currently on week 4.
Yep.
So the last week. Tomorrow's gonna be my final day. I think 380 double on squat.
That's the plan. So that's gonna be north of your 1 rep for. It's supposed to be for 2.
Can I tell you a secret?
Yeah.
I'll make it move really well.
All right. Well, we this will be recorded after the fact, so you're either going to eat your words or you're going to back it up. So
we're good.
But before we get into, I guess, how I'm doing with my own lifting, you fucked your thumb.
That's what I was about to say. Deadlift, bro.
Yeah. So you fucked your thumb up. How did you do it?
I was deadlifting it was 405. I don't like 405, and I dropped it, and I pull hook. Probably if you're listening to this, you know what that means. But if you don't know what that means, I squish thumb.
Yep. For our visual people.
In between the bar and my fingers to hold on to the bar.
Right.
And so I hit the rep. It moved really well.
It moved it's
it was
insane.
Supposed to be RPE. I'm gonna be honest with you, Eric. You programmed in 400.
Yeah, I mean, I'm aware of all these things.
Who's gonna load up 400 when you could just load up 405?
Me?
No one. Bro.
Me? Like literally every single time. Me.
Yeah, it was 405. It was supposed to be RP 7 or 6 maybe, or I don't know. And it was a 4. It was really easy. But then on the way down, I dropped it an inch off the ground, which is stupid. Shouldn't do that because you can't even do that in a meet. I don't know why I did that. And it bounced up and it jammed my thumb, and it hurt so bad.
Yeah, and for people listening, or just in general, our general audience here, Elliot had never jammed his thumb before and was freaking out about it, and understandably so. If you've never done it before, it makes sense. But he was really panicking.
I thought I broke it because in my opinion, my pain tolerance is pretty high.
Right.
And it hurt, dude.
Yeah, exactly.
It hurt. I was like, dude, I am sure a lot of guys that powerlift and pull hook grip, I'm squishing my thumbs 24/7. I'm used to the pain. Just break their thumbs.
Right.
Have no idea and think it's just dislocated or something, or whatever you can do, sprained.
Right.
So I was like, Eric, I broke my thumb. I can't pull in the meat.
He did. He did reach out to me in a fever pitch, asking what the hell was going on. But I think that we've got it under control. You just did your deadlift workout where, for an inexplicable reason, we won't get into that actually.
Let's talk about it. It's gonna make me feel better if we talk about it.
Okay, we can definitely talk about it. So I was busy at work, and he asked what he should do for deadlift. And again, for people who are listening or just our general audience, I have to drive about an hour to get back home. So sometimes when people ask me questions that need to be answered in the moment, I don't like to text and drive. And Elliot asked me what he should have done. His thumb hurt and whatever, and I said I gave him a bunch of different things that he could do. And I believe you pulled mixed grip and you dropped your last warm up,
aka zipper grip.
Is that correct?
No, I didn't pull mixed grip. I pulled hook.
Okay.
I pulled the hook and I dropped my last warm up 390.
Right.
So this is why I wanted to talk about the 405 last week.
Right.
I smoked 405.
Right.
I sent it to Dave.
Yeah.
He was like, bro, that was sick. Whatever Dave said. And I was so happy. And then I literally failed 390 bad.
Right.
I dropped it halfway up.
Yeah. And we had the conversation before that you should just strap up. And Elliot was like, I'm never going to strap up. I'd be damned if I strapped up and whatever. And next time you probably should strap up because
No.
you're.
Oh, dude.
But like honestly, if you want the thumb to heal, you probably should. But anyway,
I hit 380 for 4 after that with the straps.
exactly.
And it was fine.
And we talked about it. You're fine. You're completely fine. We just need the thumb to actually heal. You know what I mean? So if you continue to neglect it, it will just get progressively not worse, but it's just not going to get any better. So if you have to strap up, strap up. All right, so let's get into the topic for today, and that is a concept. What?
Never talked about your lifts.
Who cares about my lifts? Let's get into our topic for today, and that is the concept of social media and powerlifting. So, all of us are on Instagram. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All of us follow other lifters, correct?
Yeah.
And we see a lot of things that are outlandish in terms of training lifts. What are ones that come to mind when you think of like?
Would you say like in terms of like people doing crazy weights or like stupid exercise?
Maybe not necessarily stupid exercise. That could be a topic for.
You can find some funny videos.
Well, I'm sure you find funny videos, but I'm thinking of like the people. I'm thinking of the people who can like take like a deadlift bar and pound plates and like those figure 8 straps and have the bar sit really low in their hand and they're repping out like 800 pounds for a set of 5 and whatnot.
Sleeves.
Yeah.
For back rounding.
Right. Exactly.
Which you think is ugly.
Right. But I guess my whole point is we see it a lot, and it's definitely had an effect, whether it be positive or negative, in what we do. So the reason why we want to talk about this is because I think that we'll have 3, maybe not different perspectives, but 3 unique perspectives. As we talked about before, Michael got into the sport super early before it kind of took off on powerlifting, before it took off on social media rather. But social media, honestly, like we're not that old, but like social media, like Instagram wasn't Instagram in 2014.
Right. I feel like back then it was more like fitness in general, like bodybuilders. It wasn't necessarily powerlifting.
Right.
Now you see the powerlifters on like TikTok and like, I guess there's more powerlifters now on like YouTube and like, Instagram. But I feel like you see a lot of, like you said, like the big deadlift.
Right.
The deadlift bar. People aren't posting up the bench.
No, people aren't posting up their bench, and honestly, people are not even posting up their meets. They're posting more so their big training lifts.
Right.
And that's something that we can get into here. But that is a different aspect. And then Elliot is kind of growing up in the social media boom of powerlifting, and you probably got a lot of your early inspiration, or maybe your current inspiration, from social media. Would I be incorrect with that?
Oh, you'd be correct. Pretty much the reason I'm doing it, well, not the reason I'm doing it now, but the reason I started was social media. Like,
and that's not necessarily a bad thing.
In my room. Oh, okay, bro. Let's address the elephant in the room.
What?
David Lade.
Okay. I think this is our
100% the reason I got into it.
I was gonna say I think this is the second David Lade shout out on this podcast, and I was never expecting this. But
David Lade, I got into it.
David Lade, if you're watching this, we got one of your guys right here.
Got into just lifting from David Lade, and then like over quarantine, I found these like guys on Instagram that were powerlifting. I guess I won't say their names because it doesn't really matter. But
no, you can say their names.
I started watching them, and I was like, oh my god, this is euphoric.
Yeah.
Like, this is sick. Like, David Lade is, like, just eating muffins, and, like, he hurt his back now. Like, what's he doing? He's filming drone videos. Like, I want to be, like, in the gym, like, ah! So, yeah, and then I just had to try it.
Right.
And at the time, it was quarantine, so I couldn't. So, me, like, not being able to and watching all these people doing it, I was like, oh my god, I need.
Right. Yeah, so, social media. I would say, in general, I think the most channeled mediums would probably be Instagram and YouTube, right? And maybe TikTok too. TikTok too. Again, positive and negative. Let's speak on what social media has done positively for powerlifting. I'll start off with this one. I don't think powerlifting is, for a lot of, so like we just heard from you, you might not have even gotten into the sport if you didn't see it on YouTube or see it on Instagram, TikTok, whatever. I think more people are getting into the sport because of it, and I can't see an argument in which that is a bad thing. Would you guys agree with that?
I actually just saw an Instagram story from Liam Newell.
Mm-hmm.
He was saying that basically the same thing you're saying, where specifically TikTok is like inspiring this revolution of like young, like it's mostly like bodybuilders I see on TikTok, but
it's like
the type thing,
like the power builder type movement,
yeah,
where they lift heavy but they also want to be aesthetic.
Yeah, he was saying that that's obviously good, but it also encourages like the SARM usage and stuff like that.
Yeah, so
a lot of people want to be like super freaks. Go.
Exactly. So let's save that for the cons, but that's a very good point that I want to speak on is that type of deal. But yeah, positives. What else do we think that social media has done for powerlifting positively?
I think, I wouldn't say necessarily TikTok, but like YouTube,
Mm-hmm.
you can find a lot of like videos on how to do lifts, like ways to program.
Yeah, absolutely. All of my early stuff was from YouTube.
Me too. I would watch like how to perform a certain lift.
Yep.
How to grow muscle you want to.
Yeah.
Like you could find anything on
there. Mm-hmm.
You could have nobody you know that knows how to lift, and you do just fine.
I mean, I would absolutely agree. And then, like, I think of like even at the more complex level, if you don't know the rules, like there's full videos on rules for USAPL powerlifting.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, for the people who are visual learners and whatnot, and can see someone, make gestures and stuff like that, that probably helps out a lot than just reading a rule book.
Yeah. I used to use it.
Right. Yeah. Positives other than that.
No, sponsorships.
Okay.
That's huge.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that is huge, especially for the people who are coming up and whatnot. And that could also end up being a negative. But for some people, I think it's a pretty cool gig to have a sponsorship code or like an actual full-fledged sponsorship because of your social media following.
Yeah, I don't have much more to add to that. I mean, if you can make a living out of it too.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's really the only way to make a living.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
And even further than that, like building up an audience, like.
Yeah, I mean,
like Russell.
Yeah, exactly. Russell Orhe.
Starting your own merch brand after.
I really have a lot of respect because he is like entirely self-made. Like if you watch his early YouTube stuff, he was doing everything. He was doing the videoing, he was doing the editing, and now to see where he is now, owning his own gym and like dominating the USAPL, really cool. And that's the social media thing, right? If he didn't have the following, we wouldn't know who Russell Orhe is. Right. So yeah, I think undisputedly there is a ton of positives. And like for me, I think on the coaching side, it's so easy for people to like see my bio and then click the link tree. And like, that's where you could find powerlifting coaching that way, or you could send me a DM, or you could send a coach a DM. And it's so much easier than, let's say 25 years ago, where you would have to go, let's say, and we're in the state of Maine, you would have to go to like Westbrook and go into the Dynamax gym and try to find someone to personally coach you there. And think about if you had to rely on a personal coach in person in 2022. It wouldn't happen.
Would be smoked, bro.
I mean, it also just wouldn't happen, right? Because you would have to be on someone else's schedule. And so like the online coaching thing definitely is a positive. But with that being said, there's a lot of cons. Yeah. I think there is a ton of cons. Does anyone have one off the top of their head? Because I could probably go for a decent long time on this.
You go, because I get into the rants.
Yes, so exactly. All right, so when it comes down to it, I think the main drawback with social media, especially, and I'm speaking more so for kids who are Elliot's age, but even more so my age or older, but I think when I think of this concept, more so the teen people, unrealistic expectations.
Yeah, that's what I would say.
Exactly. And I think what we see on social media, and Michael, we've had this conversation before where, you see the top one, like I'm not even exaggerating, like for a lot of these guys, you see the 0.1% of the best lifters because they're the most impressive, and you assume that is the standard. That is the exception. That is not the standard, right? And it's very easy if you have this type of mindset to get discouraged when you see someone who is the same weight as you, kind of looks the same as you do, and they're outlifting your total by 300 pounds or whatnot. And, without that, without social media, you could make an argument that maybe people would focus on themselves and just kind of, have it be like a self-fulfilling thing. And they'd probably end up making more progress and be less, embarrassed of where their current strength is at. Because, Elliot, we've had those conversations early on. We don't have them as much anymore. But before, you're like, X person's hitting this, and I want to do what X person is hitting and Y person is hitting. What's it like for you as a teen trying to kind of filter all of that stuff out?
Pretty much like you said. I mean, I still have those thoughts, but it's just I'm less vocal about it because I'm starting to think the way you guys probably do, where it's like I separate who I am from who I'm seeing.
Yeah.
And kind of the whole mentality of like, look to these people that you see on social media for motivation.
Yeah.
But not like what would be the word? There's an expression about this: motivation, but not like.
Yeah, I don't know. I know what you're trying to get at. Use it for motivation, but don't let it be your detriment type deal. Like, don't let it discourage you.
Yeah,
as well.
Also, don't replicate what they do.
And that was gonna be my next
Don't
point.
imitate people. Like, just use it for motivation. Like, see these people getting hyped, like lifting high amounts of weight, and be like, wow,
right,
that is so sick.
Right. So we're making the point of imitating. So me as a coach, I deal with this a lot. So there's two concepts. One, the imitation of technique. So if you see a lifter who, I don't know, is a good lifter, like I'm thinking of like the really, really upright sumo people. Elliot, we've talked about this before.
Bro, this with sumo deadlift.
Right, exactly. So you see the guys who pull 800 something pounds and they can get super, super upright. They have the deadlift bar, so it's almost as if the bar's not moving at all. And like their leverages dictate that they can do that. Realistically speaking, their leverages dictate that they can do that, not that you can, right? And you try to emulate that. So like Elliot, we had the conversation before, like you don't have to be upright because your leverage does not dictate that. And you actually made more progress when you let yourself round over a little bit more and stop worrying about the uprightness. And then especially in your squat, same deal.
Bro, this happens like every single workout.
Every workout.
You know that? Like every single day I walk around, I'm like, bro, if I put my feet out a little bit wider, like I'll get just a tad bit more upright and like I'll lock it out much more smoother. Like,
yep, and I'm thinking about
if I put my toes out, like I'm gonna get more hip engagement and like, more quad drive off the floor. Like it's gonna look so much better.
Or I think of the time that you brought your stance in on squat. And it felt really good with like 225, and then we got to like anything north of that, you're like, yeah, okay, it wasn't a good move.
Okay, good morning.
Yeah, good morning turned into a good morning. But that's one side of it, right? And it's again more so for the younger people. It's like if you don't allow your technique to kind of settle in, it'll never feel good. So if you're just constantly switching it by virtue of you never trying one technique for more than 2 weeks, it'll always just feel awful. But the other thing is emulating the programming that some of these guys do. I think what we see is a lot of the big social media guys, it seems like, now realistically, this is not all they do, but it seems like they just hit heavy singles. And the younger kids on my roster are like, why aren't we doing singles? Why am I not doing like RP 8 to 10 singles every single week? Wheeze is doing that, or who's the deadlift kid, the King 67, you know that person? Yeah, he does that every week. I'm a fucking phenom. Right, exactly. And there's two ways to go about it. It's like, one, do you want to be a social media person? If you want to be a social media person, you probably should be doing stuff like that because that's what's going to get you engagement. But this comes back to it. If you want to be a good power lifter, I mean, personally speaking, I care about how I do in the meet. I could give a shit about what I do in training. The training kind of sets me up for the meet. But what we're seeing with the social media is, I think nowadays, and I had a conversation with Erik Cordiero about this, or we like briefly, talked about it. Powerlifting is like the only sport where people like applaud you more for your competition, your training lifts more so than your competition lifts. Like, because if you think about it, it's like in basketball, if you did like, I don't know, hit a half court shot, no one would be like, sick. You know what I mean? Like, awesome. Like, holy, wow, you hit a half court shot. If you hit one in the game, then it would actually count. Or you hit 10 threes in a row in practice. Who cares? You went 1 for 10 in the game. A bit different in that regard. And I think we've kind of shifted. Would you guys agree?
Yeah, but that's because like powerlifting is so specific in the meets. Like we look at powerlifting, you look at powerlifting and you think like, okay, singles in the meets.
Right.
But I guess this is kind of begging the question. Shout out my philosophers who are watching this. It's because it kind of comes full circle with the whole, we see people like hitting these things on social media, but like powerlifting for the younger kids too. From my perspective, is like you see people hitting like heavy sets of 5, heavy sets of 4s, heavy sets of 3s.
Yeah.
And it's not like, you still think of it as powerlifting, like,
right,
because it is.
Yeah.
You think about powerlifting, you're like, okay, a single and a meet. I think about powerlifting, and I'm like, okay, it could be any number of reps, but it's just like exceptional weight and it's to competition standards. And it's like a heavy set of 3 is still impressive to me. And
I guess that's not the point I'm trying to make, but what I am trying to make is like the people who just max out every single week, that gets them way more. Like if you even look at their like engagement on the posts that they make, they get way more posts on like the YOLO deadlift after the meet than their meet results.
Yeah, I don't get that.
I've never gotten it either, but I think it just people just want to see more weight. They don't care where it's at.
Right. I don't, maybe because it's on, don't have like the specific standards they have to go by, so they could cheat it.
Right.
You may not see it on the video.
No, exactly. And, and this comes down to like powerlifting the hobby versus powerlifting the sport. Yeah, you're probably right. I do see it a little bit different because I like to view what we do as a sport and I take it seriously. Not that you don't. Absolutely not. That's not what I'm trying to say. But I think in general with social media, I think it's been a negative that people are caring less about their competition performance and more about their likes on their post. You know what I mean? With their strapped deadlift with, pound plates and a deadlift bar. And yeah, it probably inflates that what you can do probably by a good, 50, 60 pounds. And it's more impressive to the lay person to say, I deadlift 600 pounds versus 540. But when you get around actual powerlifters and they see that you go 4 for 9, 6 for 9 at a meet, that's not really, what are we doing at that point?
Yeah, you should practice height.
I would think so, right? Yeah, I would think so. And I think social media is kind of, people don't do that anymore.
Right.
Yeah. Other negatives. Do we have any other negatives that come to mind about social media's effect on powerlifting as a whole, or maybe just training as a whole?
Kind of more like, I feel like it's more of the same.
Yeah.
What we've talked about. I could say different things about the same things if you get what I'm saying here.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Another thing about kind of going off of like replicating people's form.
Yeah.
Technique is like, for me, I post my lifts on Instagram sometimes, but when I post, I want it to look good.
Mm-hmm.
I don't necessarily like, obviously I care about the weight, but like I care just as much about how I look moving the weight.
Yeah.
And so that is sometimes my downfall as well. Like, remember when I hit 405 and it flew?
Yep.
This is a long time ago, and I'm like, guys, my back, like, upper back is a little bit rounded though. Like, it kind of looks stupid.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, what are you talking about?
Yes, exactly.
But for me, it's like, I don't want to post that. I don't want to, like, I'm not proud of that lift anymore because it doesn't look pristine.
Right.
Instagram worthy.
Exact. So there you go. Instagram worthy. You know what I mean? So something like that. You could sit here and make a case. I could understand a roundabout case as to why that's maybe a positive because you always want to uphold your standard or something like that. But when it's taken to the extreme like that, to me, that's a negative. You know what I mean?
Realistically, it was a perfectly fine, well-moving comp standard deadlift.
Exactly.
There was absolutely nothing wrong with it.
Nope.
I didn't even notice your back.
Yeah, it's just like me nitpicking because I see the
because you see the upright, pullers who are just,
exactly.
have their arms already at their ankles, so they're able to be upright and stuff like that. So
yeah, another one is my squat. Every single time you send me my squat video, I'm like, oh, so bent over, like I don't even know if I want to post this.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, grow up.
Honestly, seriously, that's really what it comes down to.
Yeah, but it's like I've been conditioned to be like, I want my lifts to be super pretty. I want them to go on Instagram.
Absolutely. And when you think about it, if you look at the statistics on how many people do powerlifting versus like what we see on Instagram, you are quite literally seeing the 0.1% of people, and that really skews your perception. One, in terms of like they probably got great genetics. So their top end is just naturally going to be higher, and that's okay. They've probably been doing it for a decent amount of time, which you don't see. Like, I think of Ashton Ruska. Everyone thinks that he's like this super young guy, like people your age. Ashton Ruska's been powerlifting competitively since 2013. So he's been training, for close to 10 years now?
Well, yeah, at least competing.
Competing for 10 years.
Training.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So you don't see all that. You see what he does now, and you're like, okay, he just does max singles all the time. Maybe that's what I should do. You didn't see the 5-6 years before that where he was doing the bodybuilding work and the stuff like that. And that is my next piece is I think a lot of people only want to do the heavy singles now. Elliot, you seem to...
Just had like an extreme thought. Kind of taking a step back from this. So if you don't want to segue out of this kind of...
Well, I guess I'll finish my point real quick and then you can speak on that. I guess my whole point is the emphasis in training now. Almost no one wants to like train. I think everyone just wants to test, right? So everyone wants to do the heavy singles, the heavy doubles, the heavy triples and stuff like that. But like the curls and the leg extensions and the stuff that honestly like we like, people don't want to do because that does not get them Instagram likes. It's not as fun. Right, it's harder to get motivated for that. And again, this is something that we talked about all the way, and I believe in episode 1, maybe it was episode 2, is do you like training and lifting, or do you like the powerlifting likes, like the notoriety that comes with it?
Yeah, and I mean, I find that I like training side of it. I don't
Personally, me too.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
There's just so much pressure when it comes to competing. How can't you just being in the gym and just getting
Right. Exactly. And we make the claim all the time that, like, let's say Instagram was shut down, you couldn't post your lifts, TikTok was shut down, YouTube was shut down, Facebook, all of those sites. Are you going to stop going to the gym because you can't post your lifts anymore? You wouldn't. You wouldn't. I wouldn't. Some people, honestly, probably would stop, right? And especially those younger kids. I'm not, also, I'm full disclosure, I'm not like trying to say this is only younger people. This goes on with everyone, but I'm seeing it more so with the teen and, that side of the sport, where if powerlifting, if the likes weren't there, they wouldn't be in the gym. And that's kind of depressing to me, because I want people to do this for life.
Right. Yeah. Because like when we'll say with COVID, kind of like somewhat similar. People couldn't go to the gym.
Yep.
And there was you working out in your room.
Yeah.
And nobody's there, no motivation, like from just you.
Right. And then
that's kind of what it is with those.
Exactly. And it's like, you're right. I mean, it was such a weird dynamic trying to get yourself motivated to lift and like go heavy in the same place that you sleep. I mean, that was just a very interesting dynamic.
Little anecdotal piece of information, I guess. I had the same thing where I had to lift in my basement, and I only had like dumbbells, adjustable dumbbells with the 1-inch plates.
Yeah.
So I literally only hit split squats, dumbbell bench, and curls, and like other stuff like chest flies, shoulder flies. And I didn't, obviously no one wants to see that. I wasn't like posting it on Instagram. I didn't like tell anybody about it.
I have a full thing of COVID training when I was doing just like resistance band stuff when I didn't have all that, but
no posting, right? Mm-hmm. No worrying about what I like look like, what I'm doing. I'm doing something cool. Like if I'm benching, like hitting PRs, just training.
Yep.
Feeling it out, like eating right, doing this and that. That took my bench from less than 225 before COVID. When I got back in the gym, I hit 225 for a triple.
Weird, right? You know what I mean? It's just like taking that time to actually just focus on you and enjoy what you're doing. Sometimes, like you just said what you were doing right there. Realistically speaking, like if I gave someone as a coach like flies and like
no one would do that.
No one. Well, it's not that no one would do it. I don't know if that necessarily would bring your bench up, but mindset alone, I mean, it's gonna sound like quackery, but it's true. You know what I mean? I really think that goes a long way. You were gonna say something before. Where do you still have that in your mind?
Yeah, this is another thing that I struggle with.
Yeah.
Which I blame it on myself, but also social media.
Right.
Diet.
Ooh.
And not like what to eat, but like what to do, like bulk or cut or whatever, like what you want to shoot for. It's so hard because of social media too. Because like someone like me, I've always been, young. When I was younger, I was chubbier.
Yep.
And then when I hit puberty, I was kind of like skinny fat because I had no muscle, but I was also still a little bit chubby.
Of course.
So someone like me, I never knew whether it would be the right call to like bulk up and get stronger, or cut down and get like aesthetic. And social media makes that so much worse.
You're right.
Because in one half of your brain, you're like, I need to get stronger. Like I need my lifts to be impressive. Like yada, yada, yada. I want people to like my lifts. Other half of your brain, you're like, I need to get aesthetic. Like I want people to think I'm a...
You also want to look like you lift, yeah.
Like I want to be all vascular and I want to be shredded. Like I want to be an Instagram model. Like this and that, maybe not to that extent, but it's like,
no, I know the point you're trying to make. Yeah.
And then I find that constant struggle like leads to zero progress.
Right.
Where one day I'll choose like, well, you guys know this.
Of course.
One day I'll be like, oh, I'm on a bulk. Like you have time to get stronger. Then literally the next week, guys, I got a diet.
Yeah, I was gonna say, bro, I'm gonna cut it back. Yeah.
Now you're one shoulder striation.
Right. Now your back's against the wall because you're over the weight class, and now you have to diet.
Exactly. Yeah. And yeah, I'm grateful for powerlifting because of that.
But honestly, that's probably a good thing for you, right? Because your back is against the wall, you have no other option.
Exactly. Yeah, and it leads to actually like progress in one direction or another.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's huge. I didn't even think of that.
Yeah. Without that, it's like, dude, if I like just stuck to one thing for the first year of lifting, like if I just bulked, I bet I would be much stronger.
Of course.
With proper training as well, obviously. But like the fact that I probably ate like 1,200 calories for like a month, and the next month I would have like 6,000 a day, like just ridiculous.
The plus or minus 1,500 swing now.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I guess the other thing before we move on that I was thinking of was I don't know, it's kind of hard to explain this here, but I'll circle back to that. Let's move on to what
I had one that, I mean, and you never know this, but if people are on drugs or not.
Okay, so that's how I want to say it. I didn't want to say like fake natty, but
Yeah.
you've already said it. So let's go ahead and let's talk about it.
So I mean, you never know.
No, you don't.
But you see someone that's like super lean and just constantly getting bigger, and their lifts are going up, and they may not claim that they're on
drugs. Yeah.
And you think like, why are they getting so strong and I'm not?
Right.
And why is it going up so fast?
Yeah, and again, it comes down to this unrealistic expectation things, and we don't want to sit here and claim that there's a lot of like the people are fake. We don't want to say there's a lot of fake natties out there, but there definitely are.
Oh yeah.
I mean, there definitely are, and I think that really skews the perception for people who see the people who are, and again, maybe they don't claim natural, but they're
not trying to be a fake natty.
No,
they just don't talk about it.
But sometimes people are.
Yeah,
sometimes
definitely.
people are, and like if you see someone, and there are people who are freaks. Let's state that out there. There are people who are freaks. Yeah. But if you see someone who is, let's say they claim natural, they're like under 6% body fat, they're always getting stronger, they're always getting bigger. Maybe start getting those things in your mind.
And they're lean like all year. They're 6% all year.
Right, and then the more things that you unpack with it, and then you try to compare your progress to that. It's like that's a one-way ticket to being disappointed with your powerlifting career, is trying to set yourself up for that when that is unrealistic for 100% of the population, maybe 99.9.
Right, and then also like, if somebody does talk about it and then hopping on stuff too young. We talked about that on other podcast.
Yeah, was that episode 3 with Andrew?
Yeah. And I think people just search better rather than just listening to somebody that you're on social.
You're right, and I see those videos on YouTube of these young kids who decide to go on SARMs and stuff like that, and it really saddens me because, like, of course, you know, you can make the claim that SARMs and stuff like that aren't as potent as more like tried and true steroids and stuff like that, but you're messing up your testosterone, you're messing up like your natural body chemistry. For what reason? So that you can get more followers on TikTok?
Right, like you might as well just do the real stuff instead of doing SARMs.
I mean,
it's gonna shut you down.
I mean, like it's tough for me. I don't want to necessarily make that claim, but
that's what I would do.
No, you've said that before. It's like if you're gonna go that way, you're gonna go all that way. But
also, aren't SARMs still like new? Like, we don't really know if they could have much worse side effects than.
They've been around for a little while.
I mean, they've been around for a while, but also we don't. I mean, we've had years and decades of research on like the quote unquote hard steroids, and we probably have maybe 5 years of information on the long-term effects of that. And just, I just am not comfortable with teenage people using steroids of any kind.
It goes back to what I was saying about that thing that Liam Newell posted. Like, people just get into the game, young kids. Is it like TikTok, you see it, you're like, oh, I have nothing more to say.
Right, and I have conversations with people on, the Team Hogan roster, and they're like, I really want to get strong and I really want to do this and that. X lift feels off and I want to, I don't know, they have all these aspirations and whatnot. And I'm thinking about like my own come up in the sport and whatnot. I haven't I started roughly around 2017. First meet was in 2018. Only now, and it's midway through 2022, do I feel like confident with my technique. And that's 4 years. For a lot of people, they want it all right now, and it's just unrealistic because of what they see on the social media.
Yeah, it takes, I would say, at least 5 years of like doing it right to really find what works.
And that's a hard sell to people. Yeah. Say, okay, I want to be good. Okay, dedicate the next 5 years of your life to this, and I guarantee you at the end of 5 years, you'll be at least pretty okay. Not many people are going to want to buy into that.
And you look at somebody that's like 20 years old, and they're so strong, but it's like, they've been doing it since they were 10.
Exactly.
And you started when you were 8.
Exactly. And I think a lot of the people who got into the boom from social media, they're getting into it when they're like 18 or 19. And now you're 5-6 years behind everyone else who started when they were 15 or stuff like that. I mean, everyone does like sports training and stuff like that, but I don't know. But I think in general, the sport is getting younger, and I actually think that's a good thing.
Oh yeah, I mean, I know that for myself at least, getting in so young, like I wouldn't be where I am right now.
Right.
I'd be way behind because like I had my squat form hasn't changed since I'm 15,
Right.
and my bench has changed.
Elliot's
And
Elliot's
deadlift.
laughing. Elliot's laughing because his squat form changes each week.
Yeah, I was gonna say mine changed last week and the week before.
Right, exactly. But you hear it though, like, you know what I mean? The more and more reps that you can accumulate in one position, even if it doesn't quote unquote look good, you're probably going to get really strong that way. Yeah. All right. So I think we spoke our piece on that. And if anything comes to us, we can kind of circle back to it. So we were discussing on what we're going to talk about. Each week we want to include some quote unquote fun stuff. Not that this stuff isn't fun. I think what we talk about is fun to begin with.
Something outside of powerlifting.
Yeah, but yeah, exactly. So something that's not exactly powerlifting specific or strength training specific, because we're young men and we like to talk about other things and we have other hobbies, and we're going to talk about exactly that. So we are three very different people. We do have similar interests, I think, almost across the board, but we like to do different things with our free time. And let's discuss this. So what are you guys's, we'll start with Elliot, your hobbies outside of training, and what are your other interests? So what are some things that you get into, let's say on a rest day or when you get out of the gym? What are you doing?
Okay, so the boring answer is playing video games. The less boring answer is like random stuff. Random stuff.
And this is for the people who are listening. This is random. It's not even doing it service.
Random makes it seem like they're not connected.
The things that you send me, I die laughing.
I can see why you would die laughing, but it's like it's really hard to explain. I was actually the one who suggested this segment today because the other day I dug this really deep hole with my friend Andy. Grace and Scout were there too, our respective girlfriends.
Shout out Grace.
Shout out Grace.
Grace, Elliot, I want you to turn to the camera. This is going to be a segue here. Can you please make a formal apology on the podcast for what you said in episode 1?
Grace, I love you.
Okay.
You're not a distraction.
Grace, you heard it here at the Utopiacast. Elliot, keep explaining.
Yeah, so we dug this deep hole. Like this hole was mint. Hopefully we can find a way to like pull it up on the video because
I'm gonna see if we can put it up because this is the biggest hole I've ever seen in humanity. I'm not joking.
At least 8 to 10 feet.
He FaceTimed me. He goes, bro. He goes, look at this, and he takes the video, and the top of the hole is like 6 inches above his head, and Elliot's 6 feet tall, 6'1".
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. It was incredible.
Yeah, we had water at the bottom. We had all this. So I dug a hole. I think another time I like have FaceTimed you or like sent you a video or something. We were like throwing rocks into a river.
Bro, we just threw a huge rock. Watch this.
Yeah. So it's like random stuff.
You like nature?
I like nature. Yeah, I'd say I like nature. This is how I like to think about it. Your dad. Everyone watching this who is close to their father, who knows their father. I don't want to like assume anything, but dads, right?
Dads.
What do?
Dad things.
Dad things, like they mow the lawn, they like they like whittle, like what? Like they paint stuff.
Yeah.
They fix stuff around the house.
Right.
Like,
work on cars.
just random stuff. And this is gonna sound stupid, but I've really been thinking about that a lot.
Yeah.
And like sometimes you just have to stop and smell the roses.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
Like life isn't always about getting something done, like doing this and that. It's like you have to do random stuff and small things can bring you immense amounts of pleasure.
We talked about that with the digging the hole thing, and
Exactly.
the people listening are going to think that this is like what the hell are they talking about?
It's not a bit.
But seriously, it's not a bit. I think when you get to your roots of like the very simple things, you know what I mean? And we saw it with the picture. You were having the time of your life digging that hole, man.
That was sick. And like, dude, here's another good one. Fishing. Haven't gone out yet this summer, but last summer.
I can't get down with this
fishing.
one. No, I'm sorry.
No, because here's the thing. I've never caught a fish before. But you just go out, cast, you eat lunch or whatever, you hang out with the guys.
Right.
You like look at the water, you look at the scenery. You're like, wow, it's a really nice day to be out fishing. It's like, what more is there to life? People try to complicate things so much.
True. It doesn't have to be.
I'm not saying legit serious hobbies are bad, but I'm saying like
No, but that's what you do.
can find pleasure in anything.
Right, exactly. And that's what you decide to do with your free time.
Yeah.
And you're entitled to do whatever you want with your free time.
Grace and I like go like blueberry picking, apple picking, stuff like that.
Enjoying the simple things.
Just like go out and do stuff.
Right.
Yeah, video games if I'm not doing that.
Michael, Michael, when we first talked about this, he goes, I don't really have any other hobbies. And I was like, come on, bro, you definitely do.
Well, I would say nothing. Like, so Elliot can go out and do this like any day.
Mm-hmm.
He can go be a dad any day and do dad things. But so I don't really enjoy doing things like that.
Yeah.
I would say I do other like sports.
Right.
Like, so powerlifting is a hobby.
Yeah.
Also a sport that I do.
Right.
But
you
I take pretty serious.
But even when you weren't powerlifting like that in the middle, you would work out to pass the time. Like that's a hobby.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I'll go to when we would have snow days in school, I can remember like we would go to the gym when it would be open, work out for like 3 hours.
Right.
Just for fun.
Just for fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But other than lifting, I would say I try and get out and do a lot of skiing in the winters, which I've been doing since I was like a kid.
You've been skiing, yeah, for a very long time.
I started when I was 12.
Right. And you never got into snowboarding. It was just skiing, right?
I've gone down the hill twice on a snowboard.
Right.
And I like skiing.
Right. Now, what is it about skiing that you like? Obviously, that's what your dad and your mom do as well.
So my mom can ski, but she doesn't.
Right.
She just doesn't enjoy it.
But your dad does.
My dad skis.
So he got you into it, but what about it? What makes you want to continue going back each winter?
Honestly, just like going down the like hill like really fast.
Yeah.
Like on a nice pow day, like just like floating in the powder.
That's right. He called it POW, so you know he's real with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And then like going through the woods, like it's just so much fun.
Now, what else? What are you doing tomorrow? You picked up a summer pastime,
Yeah.
summer hobby. What is that?
I golf.
He golfs. All right, Michael's at the age where he golfs now.
I started golfing when I started working full time because my work we do tournaments sometimes.
Right.
Tomorrow isn't with work, but tournament because my uncle's really good.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody kind of golfs, but I got into that 4 years ago, something like that. Actually, maybe 5.
I got to make a point before you continue. This man just said he doesn't do dad things. Bro is golfing.
He's golfing on a weekend.
But I don't go out and skip rocks and go fishing.
Right. And also like, all right, I don't think skipping rocks is a bad thing as well. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think a father is going to be like,
I don't enjoy going out and like changing my oil in my
right,
car.
Exactly.
Well, me neither. That's like
a super dad thing. I'm convinced that when you become a father, you just automatically know how to do those things. Because I think about it. I've talked to my dad about it. And I'm like, how did you learn how to do this? He's like, I don't even know. I just kind of figured it out.
Do you know how to change your oil?
I could figure it out. Yeah. I wanted.
On YouTube.
Yeah, I could look it up on YouTube. I guarantee you, I could. I mean, I've changed my old oil before. I didn't want to do it, but I did it.
Kind of sucks.
Yeah. I just had a thought.
What is it?
It's not dad things that I like. It's grandfather things.
Okay.
No, because think about it. The dads get stuck with the responsibility. The grandfather get to take the kids out, get back in touch with their roots, and do like fun stuff.
Right. You know, like fishing and skipping rocks, yeah, and going apple picking.
Yeah, like putting seeds out for the birds and then like watching them.
I would go apple picking. That's not bad.
That's not bad. That's like a cute couple thing.
But that's also not a hobby. That's also not like a hobby.
Yeah.
No, it's not a hobby, but it's one of these random things that we can string together.
Continue,
Michael. Golf.
Yeah, I was gonna say. So, what's your golf game like, Michael? What's your strength and what's your weakness?
I'm not that good.
If you had to pick a strength and you said one thing that you're not like absolutely awful at, can you drive it off the tee pretty good?
Yeah, if I hit it straight,
okay,
it'll go relatively far.
What's your short game like? Can you putt pretty well?
I can putt okay.
Okay. Where do you struggle? Like really struggle?
Honestly, sometimes I just don't hit it straight on like a long iron or like on driver. Like
right. Yeah.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
I know what you're talking about. Okay. I don't golf, but I know exactly what you're talking about, of course.
Yeah. It's just, I mean, usually I can make pretty decent content. Mm-hmm. It's just like, slicing it.
Right.
Like, out.
Yeah. No, go ahead, Elliot.
Let's compare golf the skiing and powerlifting. What about golf that entices you?
Well, like when you hit a really good shot and you're like, wow, that was awesome. And then you don't do it again. Well, you want to try and hit that good shot again.
Okay.
And you want to constantly get better. And you can never be the perfect golf.
That's valid.
I suppose that's true. That's very applicable to powerlifting as well. I mean, you could always get like a little bit more precise through technique, get a little bit better with your programming. Yeah, I could see that.
And shout out Seamus. You can get Transcendental right now. Responsibility. I don't know if anyone's ever listened to like Jordan Peterson.
Right. Shout out, before you do that, shout out Tyler Hill, also known as Seamus, one of my favorite coaching athletes here, requested a little bit more Transcendental talk in the Utopiacast. Tyler Hill, we thank you. Elliot?
Finding responsibility is something that leads people to like feel fulfilled and content with their life. I mean, a lot of people, if you ask them what they want out of their lives, they say they want to be happy. But the man who chases happiness will never truly be satisfied.
This might turn into a weekly segment with Elliot's Transcendental Thought of the Week.
What you want is to be fulfilled, and you get that by undertaking responsibility and then devoting yourself to it.
It's fair.
So, like, mothers see this with like raising children. We see this, to a lesser extent with powerlifting. I mean, you always want to get better. You always have room to improve. Michael finds us in golf as well.
Yeah. I don't think Michael thinks of it that way, but
I don't think of it. No, I don't think of it like that. I go out and do it because it's fun.
Right.
But you don't have to.
Elliot made this whole claim about things don't have to be as deep as you make them out to be, and then he just explained this transcendental thought about Michael's golf, and he's like, I just do it for fun.
Just trying to get out there and pass some time and hit the ball as far as I can.
Well, he brought up being better, getting better.
Of course.
Yeah, but I mean, it's fun to get better, but honestly, I haven't been golfing now.
Mm-hmm.
And to get better, you got to be at least probably even twice a week.
Right. Yeah. All right. So I guess we do what I do for fun. I don't do a whole lot. I'm going to be full transparent here. And I'm not, it's not necessarily that I'm powerlifting or lifting 100%. I just don't have a lot of other interests that are things that you guys do. I don't like water. I can't really swim really that well. I don't like going to the beach. I don't really like doing apple picking stuff that you guys talked about. I would hate to do that.
But maybe if you had a girlfriend, you
I would do it only to appease her. I wouldn't do it because I want to.
I mean,
so you guys don't. So you guys actually don't like it. You just do it to appease them.
No. Eric.
Anyway.
No. This is important.
We already made our.
I actually like it.
Okay. You actually like it.
I'm not lying, bro.
Can we talk about what I like to do?
If you find a big apple.
Shout out Big Apples, by the way.
Yo, shout out bowling, by the way. We all forgot to say bowling.
Shout out round 1.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we did go.
That's a new thing.
Right? Yeah, we went. We've been doing some other things. You guys have got me to get out of the house a little bit.
We got Erik out.
Yeah, that's right.
Chris pulling up though?
Yeah, it was Chris pulling up. Shout out Chris Couliard. You're watching. So yeah.
Shout out Evan Wright.
Shout out Evan Wright, who might actually speak upon this after, might actually be on tomorrow after we get done training. So yeah, we might have another guest. But with that being said, what I like to do. Again, don't like to do a whole lot. My biggest things are, and Elliot said it, but I actually have a really, really, I would call a rich passion for video games. And I like all types of video games, like sports games, particular though, story games. So I've played several story games several times over, and I like the games where if you make a decision, it affects everything else that you do in the game. So if you make a decision in the beginning, it affects whatever your end thing would be. So if you guys are familiar, for the people who are watching, LA Noire, The Walking Dead game, The Wolf Among Us, I'm playing a beautiful game right now called The Quarry. That is just incredible. I'm just on the edge of my seat the entire time. The Walking Dead game, I played all 4 seasons of that. The final episode, it comes out in episodes. I cried when the game ended. It was that emotional for me.
Is that kind of I mean, the only thing that I would know is Call of Duty. Kind of
I might play
story mode, on Call of Duty.
No. But no, not really. It's the only way I can describe it. It's like a playable movie, if that makes sense. And it's a really, really rich. There's a lot of them.
It's like the Minecraft story mode, Netflix.
Sure.
Except less stupid.
Right. Exactly.
There's a movie on Netflix about Minecraft.
Yeah, and you choose what the characters say to each other.
Oh,
Or if you-
seen
alters
things
the
like
endings.
that,
Or if
yeah.
you've ever watched Black Mirror, Bandersnatch, if you ever did that, that's kind of like the same deal.
Or like choose your own adventure book.
Right. Well, kind of.
Not a book.
Right. I know what you mean. But yeah, so I really take a lot of enjoyment in playing video games, and I honestly, a lot of my memories, like all of my friends, I love going on Xbox Party and playing, games with people. Like we play the Formula One racing game. That's the one we've been playing a lot lately. Shout out Zach Hurst, shout out Brendan Harlan, shout out Andrew Graves. We've been playing that. I've been kicking ass. They suck. But with that being said, really enjoy that. And honestly, for me, the way I look at it is I have so many things going on throughout my day that are like mentally like require a lot of focus and whatnot. And if I can just kind of zone out at the end of the day and just have that hour to play video games, I am, full disclosure, feel like that really decompresses me and I'm able to kind of sustain what I'm doing. Because if I'm always on 24/7, I burn out. And that's happened to me a couple times this year, because I've had to get up at 5 a.m. for like the last 8 months or so to get back and forth between Dover, New Hampshire and here. And it's just taken a lot out of me mentally because I can't stay up as late. Like I have to be in bed probably by 10, but I have to do other work, and that's that. The other thing I really like to do is walk, and I walk a lot. So my routes, so I kind of like stagger it. So I'll do a short route that I have that takes about 20 minutes, and that's just like if I don't have a lot of time. And then I have a longer route that takes like 30 to 40, and then I have the longest route that takes me about an hour. And I do that once a week, and I really, really enjoy doing it. I picked it up in college. I put headphones on. I either listen to something, I either listen to like a full album, I either listen to like a pod or something like that, and then I just go. And it is a really, really therapeutic release from me. And just for cardiovascular like training purposes, it's an easy way to get like steps in and maybe get your heart rate up just a little bit. And it's not as fatiguing as like running or, doing like high intensity cardio and whatnot. So those are the two things that I say are my hobbies.
What do you think about when you walk?
What do I think about?
Yeah, like do you think about what you're listening to, or like
yeah,
you're walking?
Yes, absolutely.
Or, like the stuff you're seeing.
Yeah, so sometimes I like to pair the beats per minute on the song to my steps. Sure, it looks kind of ridiculous when I'm actually like tuning it up and getting it up to, but like I think of the song Lady. If you ever heard that song, Lady, hear me tonight. Yeah, exactly. That's a fantastic walking song right there. But no, honestly, if I'm going to be 100% honest, I have strong main character vibes when I walk. I like to pretend that I'm in a movie, and like whatever songs is like the scene.
Yeah.
And that helps me like continue going if it's like a particularly like hot day or stuff like that, or if it's cold or whatnot. And that I used to do that in college all the time to as the people who are watching can see, we have Frank Ocean in the background. There's a song called Siegfried on that album. It's just very, very slow moving. And where I went to college, it would always, in the wintertime, it'd always be like hazy and whatnot, and I'd pretend like I was in the opening scene of a movie to it.
I used to do that on my walk to school.
See? So it's like, I think more people do it than we would admit. But those are the things,
Yeah.
maybe not as fun as golfing and skiing, but I like them.
I mean, and I would say like my other thing that I could do at home like every single day, because you can't get out and go skiing and golf every day. But,
Yeah.
like watching TV or whatever. Like I would play video games, but like, like having a girlfriend, like they don't always want you to be on video games
It's true.
for like 3 hours.
It's true.
But I mean, I enjoy playing a little bit of Fortnite.
Right. Yeah.
Fortnite.
Yeah.
You like Fortnite?
No, I like Fortnite. I haven't played it in a long time.
But you spoke on the TV shows. If I have a really good show, so I'm watching, I only watch like 1 or 2 shows at a time, and I cannot just like flip through TV. So if people who are watching like Euphoria, when that was going,
God, that was so good,
dude. When Euphoria was going on for the season 1, but more particularly season 2 that happened this year, for 9 straight weeks, I was like in heaven on Sunday nights. It was awesome. That was really cool. So I would say that's a hobby for sure, is like watching good TV shows, not just like flipping through and like scrolling. I don't really do that, but
yeah, I usually try and get into like
right, Drive to Survive. For anyone who watches Formula One, that is an absolutely insane. Even if you don't like Formula One on Netflix, it's an insane show. Elliot, you're gonna say something.
We gotta talk about this. Can we talk about anime?
We could talk about anime a little bit, yeah.
A little bit. I pretty much exclusively watch anime now.
Yeah.
I feel very passionately about anime.
Mm-hmm.
I imagine how passionately you feel about video games.
Right.
What about anime? Like, what about it do you like? Because I've never watched it, and I don't know how to get into.
Yeah, I've been thinking about this for a long time. I've been thinking about going on an Instagram story rant about this for a long time. we watch TV shows, movies, we read books, and the point is to get us to experience this new world, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's like the world building or the character's perspective or what happens, right? I'm about to make up an expression. Probably somebody has said this before, but I don't know. He who reads 1,000 books lives 1,000 lifetimes. And that's serious, bro.
I'm glad you had to say that.
No,
it was.
You guys are laughing, but okay, back to the anime thing. Anime.
I mean, I respect it, because I watch anime as well.
I know you respect it, but some of these people that are watching this hate for no reason in particular, and I'm about to lay it down right now.
About to sun them.
You can create vivid, beautifully illustrated worlds, characters, events, scenes, anything.
Yeah.
With a much smaller budget than you would need to create the same exact thing with live action. So like think about the best action movie, or like really any movie with like crazy effects, or like any movie that takes place. The budget for those are extravagant. And like I know a lot of people love the Avengers or like DC or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I've never been a huge fan, but like you see like this sort of like thing like CGI'd into these movies, these special effects, this and that.
Right.
That's so costly, and half the time I find it like lackluster.
Right.
Like it's not enough. Anime can create entire worlds at like a quarter of the cost. So it's eventually done much better, much higher quality.
Yeah.
You can create the exact storyline, like the exact scenes, like exactly how you want them to be to portray your message. And really the only downside that I think people like look at is that it's usually in a different language, and when it's not in a different language, it sounds really bad.
Yeah, honestly, we talked about it before. I as much as I would like to, I just cannot watch the subtitled Japanese ones.
Yeah, exactly. And then like also a lot of the fan base, like you see the cringy people like Naruto
of course
down the hallways and stuff.
Right, exactly.
If you can look past that, this will be the most profound like piece of, or I guess medium, you'll ever experience.
Now, with that being said, if you had to pick right now, top 3 anime.
Easily number 1 is Full Metal Brotherhood.
Okay.
I don't know. Have you ever seen that?
Yeah.
Extremely emotional. Number 2.
This might not have to be in the order, but just the 3 ones that come to mind, I guess, right now.
There's this one called Jobless Reincarnation.
Okay.
Mushoku Tensei. Peak fiction, guys. For those of my anime like watchers that are watching this pod right now that need something to watch, Mushoku Tensei. Please. It is immaculate. 3.
You've been on a Berserk rant.
Berserk isn't really an anime.
It like legitimately is, though. I mean, it's a manga.
It's a manga.
And
they made like a prop. Yeah, we can say Berserk though.
Okay, because you've been on a kick with that lately.
I have, really.
Yeah.
And if you look at the story, it's insane. Like really, if you look past the fact that it's an anime or like a manga, for those of you who wouldn't want to watch it, it's like if it was just a book, like people would talk about this so much.
You're right.
People would be like, wow, this is insane. Like if you haven't read this, like you are missing out on a huge piece of literature. It's like, it's insane to me, bro.
Right. I would say my top 3 are, I'm into more of, I guess, the pop animes. Yeah. Dragon Ball Z for sure, or the Dragon Ball series, because there's multiple ones within the Dragon Ball universe. Yu Yu Hakusho, absolutely, it's like legitimately changed my life type show. And then Sailor Moon. Those would probably be my 3. So with that being said, I figured like that was a pretty cool thing to talk about, and we'll have different topics throughout these next 5 weeks for season 1 for fun things or whatever. Elliot had this one. Maybe Michael will decide what we do next week. But with that being said, we're gonna segue into everyone's favorite segment, shoutouts. Gentlemen, who would like to go first? Who would like to shout something out?
You want to go or you want me to go?
You go.
Yeah, Elliot talked enough. How about we go Michael first, and then we'll go Elliot, and then we'll go me.
You go first.
You want me to go first?
Yeah, you go first.
Okay, I'll go first. So for this week, I would like to shout out Drake's new album, Honestly Nevermind. So he dropped it today. He made a post last night at 9 p.m. or around that saying new album at midnight, and I was freaking out because I'm a pretty big Drake fan and did not like his last album. If you check on Twitter, and I guess this will be posted, I guess Sunday. People are not responding to it well. People do not like it. Of course, me being me, I love it, and I think it's like one of his best projects yet. It's like a dance project. It's got like just like booming beats and whatnot. And the last song on it with 21 Savage, Jimmy Walks, or Jimmy Cooks rather. Sorry, it's just insane. Just absolute bars on bars on bars. The song that I posted today on my Instagram story has just been in my head all day. For the people listening or watching, I like very vulgar music. And this album is extremely vulgar, and it's right up my alley. And which is funny because, I mean, I do use a decent amount of vulgarity in my language, but I'm not like a very vulgar like human. So it's a very interesting dynamic. Shout out Drake. Shout out Honestly Nevermind. I'm Good Love. Shout out that as well. All right, Michael.
I want to shout out Russell Orhey for winning the 2022 Nationals.
Mega Nats, yeah, 82.5.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if he was considered the underdog, but he performed really well with like all the injuries that he had going on.
Yep.
Like he did really well. It was awesome to watch. And his video that he made on YouTube, sick.
Literally awe-inspiring video. And I full disclosure, don't like powerlifting videos like that.
I don't really either.
I really don't.
I'd rather watch like the other side of like fitness.
That video was insane.
But yeah, and the outfit he pulled up in, that was sick.
Absolutely. He showed up to weigh-ins in a goddamn suit with a fur coat and whatnot.
We gotta do that.
I mean, dude.
We gotta think of something to do.
I would love if the people for this next meet showed up wearing shit like that on my team, just to show that we're...
I'm gonna do it.
Would you really do it?
Well, we gotta think of something.
Elliot, would you do it as well?
Yeah, of course.
You can't copy him, but we gotta think of something.
Well, I really like the notion that he put. He's like, I take the sport seriously, so I'm going to treat it seriously.
I mean, yeah, I'd show up in like a suit.
If you guys do that, I might. If I can get E-Right and Chris, I mean, Chris is doing it, but if we can get those guys to do that and show up like official, dude, that would be insane. That would do it. That would be incredible.
Yeah. Erik,
right?
Will you wear a suit as a coach?
Yo, the all yellow.
Ooh. Yeah. You know what? So I did wear the. You know what? If we want to do this, I will do this. It'll be hot as fuck, but I think I'll do it.
Why not?
Let's do it.
All right. So.
Well, for you, yeah, like you're saying, it'll be hot. We get to take it off after we win.
I don't.
You're
but anyway,
it all day.
But I can commit to the bit. So why don't we plan on doing that? I think that would be sick.
That'd be so sick.
That'd be very sick. So we'll do that. Shout out Russell Orhey, 5-time USAPL Mega Nats champion.
Let's go.
5 straight times is crazy. As Drake said, 5 years later, how am I the man still? Elliot, shoutouts.
Shout out DC, Diet Coke.
Okay, so why are we shouting out Diet Coke? He's back on the Diet Cokes, everyone.
Not that deep. I just fucking love Diet Coke. And like, what?
No. Go ahead.
What about Diet Pepsi?
Go ahead, man.
I'm not a Pepsi fan. Grace is a Pepsi fan. I always grew up on Coke. Coke the drink. I don't know. I'm just dieting. Like, I'm losing weight to make weight. I need something to drink. We have the Squatter. We have the Squanster.
Shout out Squatter and shout out Squanster. For if you don't know that, message me directly. I can't speak on it in the podcast.
Have you switched from the Fairlife big bottle of milk to just the nutrition plans?
Dude, actually, Sam's Club only has the core powers.
Oh, right.
So it's like,
which are honestly better.
For you, maybe.
They have more calories.
I don't know which ones we're talking about.
Yeah. Well, the core power is 42, 43.
Yeah. And they're 230 calorie, but still. Yeah. So, is there anything else that you want to speak upon the Diet Cokes?
Just love it. Like, it's just so easy. Like, for those of my, I keep saying that. I don't know why I keep saying that. It's like take care. For my people out there that don't love drinking water, that need something more orally stimulating, Diet Coke, bro. Like, I'm not saying it's the most healthy thing on the planet, but if you need to be in a deficit, like, come on.
Yeah, so if you are in an oral deficit and you need oral stimulation, go ahead and get on Diet Coke. You heard it here from Elliot.
You have to be careful, though. Because as Cousine once said, you start your day off with a Diet Coke. It's only downhill from there.
It's true. It's absolutely true. And there's a mild amount of stim. So if you are a stim fiend, don't be throwing back Diet Cokes all day.
Or you can do caffeine free.
The stim free Diet Coke is incredible.
That's what I do.
Incredible. The golden can. Are you kidding me? I'm like tearing up right now.
Never had it.
What? Wow. All right.
I'm a stim fiend.
Well, with that being said, I think that will be a good spot to end it. That was episode 5 of the Utopiacast. Elliot, anything in closing?
I love you all. I love Grace. It's not a distraction.
She's not a distraction.
That's it.
Michael?
I love you, Lydia.
Erik?
I think that's everything that I would have to say.
Up to the game.
Yeah, I just want to say that I'm married to the game, and not a damn thing has changed. With that being said, we are going to close it. That was episode 5 of the Utopiacast. We'll be back here next week, probably with another visual, depending upon our schedules and whatnot. Don't know what our topic will be just yet, but I'm sure it will be something that we're fairly passionate about. Yeah, I think that's where we'll end it. Have a good one, guys.